A few days ago, I did that hip thrust machine, and I spoke about how incredible of a stimulation it was for the glutes. I've never done any exercise in my life that had that type of stimulation. Literally, the whole glute muscle was just on fire. I had trouble walking around between the sets. It was just one of those things. It was just unbelievable, the effect that it had. So on the back of that, I was expecting the following day and the next day, the next kind of 48 hours, I was expecting a lot of muscle soreness. To my surprise, I have not had a single ounce of soreness. Nothing. As if I didn't do anything. And I ended up doing 7 sets of 20 with a plate aside. And I found that getting through that was very, very difficult. So this got me thinking, how can I have such an experience on the ground doing the exercise, and then a few days later have no repercussions from that, no consequences, no soreness? And I thought, my Lord, I'm going to be in trouble the next few days. Nothing. So my brain started working on this kind of problem, on this puzzle, why my glutes weren't responding to that. And on the background of hearing another lifter talk about doing that exact same machine and filling the whole damn machine up with plates, and him and I do the exact same kilos, so we have the same maxes on the squat. So I thought, that's really interesting. So one lifter can max the machine, the other lifter struggles with even just one plate, yet we have the same outcome on the squat. So I just basically concluded from that information that I have weak glutes. I did the machine, I thought I killed myself, no effect. And so then I started thinking about this, and I started thinking about all the best exercises for glutes that I've ever come across. And automatically it occurred to me, and I've even made videos about this, the number one exercise for glutes is lunges, for me. I mean, we could all be different. We could all be completely different. But for me, I will never forget the moment that I did lunges. And at that time, I did lunges. This is a few months ago. I did lunges, Bulgarian split squats and lunges, and reverse lunges, all that kind of unilateral kind of squatting type of exercise. I did those exercises for quads. And so I had the intention of training my quads, because at the time I was like, no, my quads are weak. This is why my squat is not progressing. And so that was kind of the hypothesis back then. I do all these reverse lunges, Bulgarian split squats, walking lunges, and I ultimately gave up on that exercise because I was hitting my glutes too much. And I was like, man, this is incredible. I'm so damn sore through the glutes. I've never been sore like that through my glutes. So I moved away from that exercise. And so now I've come back around doing the walking lunges again. You're seeing me doing them now. And that's because now I'm like, these damn walking lunges are smashing my glutes. I got to do the walking lunges, or any sort of lunges. I thought it was a beautiful day today, so I went to the park and I was just walking around. And I actually feel like walking lunges are the best. It's just hard to do it in the gym when there's not enough space. So it's weird, because when I do walking lunges, I don't feel my glutes. I feel my quads. Yet the days afterwards, my glutes are killing me, especially that kind of side glute, glute medius, glute minimus, that type of thing. The glute max also gets stimulation, but I don't feel it when I'm doing the exercise. Compared to the other exercise that I just spoke about, the glute machine, the glute thrust machine, I feel it in the glutes, yet I have no soreness through the glutes. Not to say that the soreness is like some be-and-all kind of symptom that if you don't have soreness, it's not an effective exercise. To me, when I get first introduced to an exercise, right, when I first get exposure to that novelty, I get really, really sore, usually. Okay, I get really, really sore. The same thing for RDLs. The first time you do RDLs, man, you do it for a bunch of volume. The freaking next day, you can't even bend over. Literally, your hamstrings are like ripped off. Comparing RDLs to the hamstring curl, lying hamstring curl machine, I never get hamstring soreness from ham curls, ever. I don't care how I do them, heavy, light, supersetting, I don't care, I never get sore. But doing heavy RDLs, doing good mornings, Jesus Christ, absolute annihilation. So, what does that mean? I think most muscle damage gets done during the eccentric portion. So if there's no stretch on the muscle, if you are not pushing the range of motion in a particular muscle, you're not going to get sore. You're not going to get maximum muscle damage. So stuff like hamstring curl machines, you are basically in a hip extension already, position, and the only thing that you're doing is curling the knee, right? So you're flexing the knee. So that's flexion from one end, but no flexion from the other end, if you know what I mean. So if you could somehow do a hamstring curl machine and also do a back raise at the same time, i.e. a GHR, that would produce a lot of soreness, I think. I've never done the GHR like that. But I think this is why the RDLs are so effective with the hamstrings, because you are taking that barbell and you are reaching as far as you can, and so you're really extending the hamstring, and then you're contracting from that end range of motion, and that kind of does most of that damage. With the walking lunges versus that glute thrust machine, the glute thrust machine, I don't think that the range of motion is, it's okay, but it's not the same as a lunge, I think. And the reason for that is because when you're split stance, one leg is going backwards, one leg is going forwards, meaning that your pelvis is kind of being torqued, if you will, by two different kind of forces. One's going forward, one's going backwards. And so you can't go into anterior pelvic tilt, you can't go into posterior pelvic tilt, because the two legs are going opposite directions. So your pelvis gets sort of grounded, and then you get real stretching of that glute tissue. That's what I think is happening. I'm not 100% on this, but that's kind of me trying to work through it. That doesn't mean that hamstring curl machines and this glute thrust machine doesn't work, that they don't work. They could work. It's just when I was thinking about my personal experience about what has worked for me and what has kind of produced the most kind of feedback, automatically I think about the walking lunges, just any sort of lunge variation, particularly walking lunges for some reason. So today I ended up doing 3 sets of 50, just all up. So 25 a piece, 25 a leg. And I thought I was going to do 5, 6, 7 sets. Man, after halfway through the first set, I was in trouble. I started getting cramping through that lateral glute. Right now I'm sitting on this bench and I'm uncomfortable. And I know tomorrow I'm going to be in a world of trouble. I've got to work tomorrow for the whole 12-hour day shift. So tomorrow's going to be a freaking interesting day. I shouldn't have done this today. I didn't think I was going to push this hard. I only did 3 sets. Oh my Lord, I'm going to be in trouble tomorrow. Today I barely went through this deadlifting and front squatting routine. I was just cramping. Cramping glutes. Worked up to 220 on the deadlift, 140 on the front squat. And I was just saying to the cameraman, I can't wait to get through this damn this training session. I'm uncomfortable. So walking lunges, first time around, I was like, I want to hit my quads. No, man, if you want to grow your glutes, strengthen your glutes, man, I don't know. Like when I go to the gym, when I have access to that glute thrust machine, I'll do it. Like that's fine. But it's completely different. I know when I was doing the barbell hip thrusts, something interesting really happened to me as well, is that I was getting kind of cramping through the adductors as well. Now, obviously, I'm not an expert in glute thrust or hip thrusting with the barbell. I never really took it to any heavy weight. I was kind of always 1 plate, maybe 2 plate. I never really pushed beyond that. So I'm not super confident in the exercise, and maybe you could critique my form. Maybe that's why my adductors were coming in. But I never felt my glutes seize up on me like they did today with walking lunges. So here we go again. I feel like I'm going insane with this stuff, but the hypothesis which I made a few months ago, probably now a few months ago, that my back is weak, and I've defined the back as the erectors, the glutes, the hamstrings. I've been smashing the hell out of my hamstrings. Now I'm paying attention to the glutes. Let's see how this translates. I think there needs to be a balancing force here, with the quads. I've gone back and forth in terms of what's weak, the quads or the hamstrings, blah, 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 blah. Now I feel like I'm getting to a point where I'm seeing translation of results based on my hypothesis, which means that I've made the right call. I've paid a lot of attention to my hamstrings. I've paid a lot of attention to my upper back development, and my deadlift has gone up. So, in my starting position, the deadlift has improved. My leg drive has improved, and I haven't really done a lot of direct quad work per se. I haven't done leg extensions. I haven't done stupid volume in the squats. I know I've just come from doing sets of 5 with the squatting, but my squatting is generally leaned over a lot, so I'm not really getting after the quads there. That's kind of my thinking. It's all very all inclusive. Like you can't really do a squat without freaking engaging the quads. It's impossible. It's just loading, favoring one side more than the other, I guess. This whole debate about, what's weak when you see a squat. Is it a weak back, a weak legs? It's very, very hard to think about, but ultimately I'm going by what Chad Wesley Smith said from Juggernaut Strength Systems. He had a really good video, and I linked it a few weeks ago when I made this kind of hypothesis. He basically said, if you do a squat and you start good morning that sucker, and you can fight through, grind through, even if it's an ugly ass good morning, you have a strong back. There's no way you can grind out of weight like that in such a bad position if you have a weak back. So if you can grind, you have a strong back, weak legs. I, for the longest time, have never been able to grind. If I get out of position in my squat, I'm dumping it. And a lot of you guys have said to me, just push through it. My legs seem to be stronger. And when I say legs, I'm talking about just purely quads. My pushing ability, really. I should say just pushing ability is way stronger than my pulling ability, even though the squat is what it is. It's so freaking confusing. And this is the thing about all of this, man. Like, it's a puzzle, and it's a puzzle. Even when you think you're kind of onto something and something is kind of making sense, you think about something else, you're like, well, how does this fit into the picture? I don't know. Right now, I've made a hypothesis, and I'm seeing results both in the deadlift, and I feel like the squat is also getting stronger. I feel stronger, and my muscle size has gone through the roof as well in recent times. I think it's purely because of the deadlift. I don't know how that makes sense, but maybe the bracing and the deadlift. So I'm in a good spot right now. So I'm going to trickle in these walking lunges. Probably you're not going to see me doing walking lunges the next couple of days because I'll be sore as hell. Right now, it's like literally cramping as I'm sitting here. But that's kind of the plan right now. I get frustrated when I reintroduce these exercises for the 50th freaking time, for the 50th freaking goal. But this is all part of it, man. Like, experience teaches you something. You might do an exercise with one intention, and then you get some weird, absurd result from that little experiment. You're like, how the hell do I make sense out of this? And you leave it because you don't have the right kind of mindset to make sense of that. And then you go on about your journey, and then you experience something else, and you're like, well, gee, that experience that I had with that experiment, maybe that fits into this picture now that I've had new information come to light. So it's constantly a thought process, constantly a puzzle. Like I said, a whole bunch of videos now. Just rock up and spend time with it, and eventually you'll hit the nail on the head. Eventually, even if it's just purely by trial and error. It is what it is. It is what it is, and it's confusing, but that's how I like to think about it. So right now, I'm getting after these glutes, getting after these hamstrings, continue doing the front squats from upper back, and let's see where this takes me. I feel like I'm building onto something really positive here. If you haven't tried the walking lunges. See what you think. Maybe you are more upright when you do walking lunges, and you get maybe more quad stimulation. For me, the way I do it, and today I'll really try to do wide steps, kind of long steps. Man, my glutes. And you know what people say. You can't get too strong of a glute. Glutes are the powerhouse of the body. They're the king of hip extension. Yes, hamstrings help. Yes, adductors help. Without glutes, man, you're not gonna be a strong dude. So train your glutes. It's not just for the Kardashian look. And this is the weird thing. Like, I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, damn, I've got a lot of cake there, man. Like, that's plenty to eat. Like, that's a lot of cake. But the fact is, sometimes you get deceived by anterior pelvic tilt. So if you stick your ass out because of short hamstring, because of short hip flexors, you might give you this illusion that there's a lot of glute there, but you're just really in a bad hip position. So if you were to kind of stick that pelvis into a neutral position, all of a sudden that bum becomes less prominent, and all of a sudden it doesn't seem like it's a strong point, it's a weak point. Anyway, the puzzle continues, the head scratching continues, but I'll keep hammering away and try and work something out. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is going to be a 4:30 get up, 4:45 start training session. So another early one, but it is what it is. Let's get after it. Peace out, guys.